Before I settled on the idea for the book that I'm publishing at the end of the year, I had a lot of false starts. I mean, a lot. That's not even all of them. And yes, that was a floppy disk. I'm definitely dating myself here, but hey. I spent years looking for an idea. Any idea. And then I spent years looking for an idea I would actually finish. I either felt at a loss or overwhelmed by all the ideas I had, with no idea how to pick one that would stick. But don't worry. Today we're going to talk about some tips and strategies you can use to find an idea that will actually stick and that you will actually want to write about and finish so that you can get published. Allison here, and besides being a creative warrior that helps you fight for your creativity, I am also an author on my very own publishing journey as we speak. I currently have 2 books of short fiction published on Amazon, but I'm working hard to publish my first novel, The Lost Girl, a Neverland story, by the end of this year. To make sure I'm setting myself up for success, I'm using the strategies outlined in the book, Published: The Proven Path from Blank Page to 10,000 Copies Sold. Because, I want to sell 10,000 copies of my book. I'm going to go through Chandler Bolt's book chapter by chapter and document my journey, and hopefully by the time I finish, I'll be set up to be a bestseller. If you want to follow along on my journey, make sure to subscribe to this channel, and in the comments below, let me know where you are on your publishing journey, and let's do this together. So in his book, Chandler calls out 3 groups of people. The I have an idea and I'm ready to go group, and if you're in that group, you might not need this video. The I don't have any idea at all group, or the I have too many ideas and I have no idea where to start group. If you're in one of those last 2 groups, let's talk. So first group, if you don't have any ideas at all and you don't know where you want to start, there are some questions you can ask yourself and some exercises you can try to get going. The questions Chandler has in his book are mostly geared toward people writing nonfiction books or books to help grow their business. So I've tweaked them a bit and added some of my own to help out you fiction folks, including the question that gave me the idea for my book. First question: what are you passionate about? Is there a topic or genre that you already know a lot about? You'll want to start here. If you already know a lot about a topic or a genre, it's going to make it a lot easier to write about it. For me, it was the Peter Pan story. I loved the movie Hook, and because of that, I already knew a lot about Neverland, the lore, and the themes around Peter Pan. I didn't have to do a lot of research around the story or the world, and that made it a lot easier to just get started. If you're obsessed with Westerns and already know a lot about that time period and what life was like back then, start there. Write your own Western. If there's a topic that you talk about so much that your friends get sick of hearing you talk about it, you should probably start there. Because there are probably people out in the world besides your friends that do want to hear about that topic. Next question: what book do you want to read? Does it exist? If you've ever caught yourself thinking, I wish there was a book about, that's the book you should write. If you're wishing for it, someone else is probably wishing for it too. Write the book that you want to read. Next question: what characters do you want to know more about? Now, you can't steal your favorite characters or plots, but you can definitely use them for inspiration. Think about how often the Peter Pan story has been rewritten or retold. When I watch movies or hear stories, I'm always wondering, yeah, but then what? Or, well, what happened to that person? Use those questions to inspire you. For me, it was what happened after the events of Hook. So Hook was what happened after Peter Pan, and I want to know what happened after Hook. I mean, obviously, if Peter went home, and careful, I might be spoiling the movie Hook for you, but it's been out for probably over 20 years, so I think the statute of limitations on that has expired. Peter goes home and grows up and stays home, so he probably dies, right? But his family lived on. What happened to them? That's what inspired me to write The Lost Girl. Now think about that in terms of characters in movies you love and see if anything comes up. Another question to help get you going? This is a simple one. What if? If you've asked yourself the last questions that we talked about and you have some ideas that are bubbling, throw this curveball into the mix. What if X? For me, knowing I loved Peter Pan and Neverland and I wanted to know more about the family that came after Peter, I asked, what if a child got sick? Would Neverland save them? What if that child were a descendant of Peter Pan? Boom, the Lost Girl was born. I actually even heard one of the screenwriters of Hook talking about how the idea came to be. And he said Hook was born the same way. One of his kids or grandkids asked, what if Peter Pan grew up? And there you go. Try it out yourself. Maybe even throw in the comments your what if question. With these questions in mind, let's take these ideas a little bit farther by using prompts. So maybe you've written down these questions, maybe you've even written down some answers. Now try using prompts for extra inspiration. I talk about prompts all the time on this channel and what a great help they are when you're trying to get unstuck or come up with ideas. And I have a ton of prompts complete with timed writing sprints in a playlist on this channel. So if you don't have any ideas or you're starting to get little nuggets of ideas from the questions that we just talked about, grab one of those prompts from the playlist, maybe once you're done watching this video, and press play. Write until the time is up. These prompts are meant to help you come up with ideas you might not have thought of on your own. If you start writing and something catches you and gets you excited, maybe that's your next idea. Hold on to whatever you write about. It might come in handy later. Foreshadowing. Wow. Okay, so what if you're in the too many ideas camp? Lucky. No, sometimes having too many ideas can be just as bad as having no ideas. You might have had a lot of false starts or a lot of fully formed ideas and you just don't know which one to pick. Chandler has 3 questions you can ask yourself if you're here. First question, which book can you write the fastest? And this might mean, back when we were talking about topics and genres you know a lot about, it might mean you already have a lot of information at your fingertips about this topic or genre, so you're not gonna have to do a lot of research. Question 2, which idea is most likely to result in a finished book? There's the kicker. Fiction writers, and probably writers in general, always have a ton of ideas, but which one is most likely to actually get done? It should probably be something you're pretty passionate about and you aren't going to get bored writing about. Question 3, which idea makes you happiest? Which one of your ideas is the most personally fulfilling and the one you have the most fun with? Because fun matters. Writing should be fun, even if it gets hard. So even though I had other ideas, I knew that The Lost Girl was the furthest along, so it was the one I could finish fastest, and I actually had an idea of the entire plot, so I knew it was one I could actually finish, and it definitely made me happiest. I loved writing about Neverland and Angela, my main character, and all the Lost Boys that I made up. So there are some brand new Lost Boys we've never met before. Plug. So for me, it was no contest. I needed to stick with The Lost Girl. Now, if you've gotten to this point and you're like, this all sounds great, but I am stuck in the worst rut I've ever been stuck in. I am suffering from writer's block and I just can't get out of it. So finding ideas doesn't really even matter because I just can't write right now. I feel ya. And I actually have a free training that can help if you feel like you're stuck in writer's block. I teach you the Creative Warrior Path to consistent creativity, the tools that helped me get out of my creative rut and go on to publish 2 books of flash fiction and write The Lost Girl. So check it out in the description below. So if you're feeling like you have too many ideas, ask yourself these 3 questions and see which idea you land on. Chandler tells a little story about this in his book and goes into a little bit more detail. So if you want to know more about that, make sure to check out the book. Now, hopefully you have an idea, and in our next video, we're going to spend a little more time developing that idea. But if you just can't wait to get started, use a prompt and sprint from the end of this video and just start writing. Keep what you come up with and see if you can use it when we start working on developing ideas in the next video. Thanks so much for joining. Now go fight for your creativity.